Hey guys, Tim O'Neill here again from Norvise and O'Neill's Fly Fishing. Today we're going to tie my newest shad pattern. This is my latest design. It's only a couple of years old. I've been fishing it for the past 2-3 years. Been doing really well with it. It is called O'Neill's Hazardous Waste. So I've got a Mustad 3366 size 6, and I'm going to put a 3/16 diameter tungsten chartreuse bead on the end of the hook. Get my hook set in the vise here. And we are ready to tie. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be using chartreuse thread. This is 6/0 Semperfli classic waxed. I'm going to switch the camera. Okay. And the first thing that we need is a little bit of pearl crystal flash. And we're going to pull out about 3 strands. We're going to cut it off. And I'm going to fold that in half. So my 3 strands just become 6. And I'm going to fold this in. Come right up on top of the shank of the hook, and I'm just going to tie this right on top, and this is going to be the tail of our fly. Tie it right back so that we're just above the barb of the hook. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut these off even. So that's going to be our tail. Shad are notorious for being short strikers, so you don't want a large or long tail on any of your flies. You want to keep that tail short so that if they're nipping at the tail, they've got a good chance that they're going to bite the hook. If you have a really long tail back here, a lot of times they'll come up and they'll bite the tail, and you can't stick them. They won't get the hook in their mouth. Okay, for the body of this fly, we're going to use, this is 20-pound test chartreuse. It's Cabela's. It's called Pro Line, so it's just bulk monofilament, not very expensive stuff. And like I said, it is 20-pound test. So we're gonna cut a length of this off. Okay, and I'm going to advance my thread up to the front. I'm going to put this where I'm actually pushing that up under the bead, and I'm going to get it started. Now this mono can be a little bit ornery to work with. It's hard and it's slippery, and you got to kind of be mindful of your thread pressure. Okay, and when we get back here, I want to put some good tight wraps back here on this tail, because we've got to basically bend this stuff in almost a 90-degree to get it to wrap. We're going to actually wrap this around the hook shank, and that's going to be our body. Okay, and then I'm just going to walk this up so that we build a nice smooth underbody. And I'm going to get up to just behind the bead. I'm going to throw a half hitch in it, and I'm going to put my bobbin on my cradle. Okay, now I'm going to grab my material, and I'm going to use the rotary function of my Nor-vise. Now I've got to manipulate this material around the point of the hook, so obviously I can't turn it here, so I've got to come around the point to the other side, and we'll have to do that for the first 2 or 3 wraps. And then once we get it started, you can just kind of hold this stuff, and you can walk this right up the shank of the hook, and you can build a nice smooth underbody. And that chartreuse thread underneath this chartreuse mono gives it a kind of a translucent effect, and in the water this thing looks really cool. It almost glows in the water. Okay, so now we got to tie this off. So typically I will go 3 wraps behind my material and 3 wraps in front, and I do that with this mono but I repeat that 3 times because, like I said, you want to make sure that you get a good solid tie down on this, because this mono can be a bit ornery to work with, and you got to get it lashed down there good and tight. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to clip this as close as I can to the body. Okay, and we're going to throw a 1/2 hitch in it. Try that again. There we go. And I'm going to go on my cradle. Now we're going to finish this off with a little collar of red Senyo's laser dub. You don't need a lot for this. So I'm just going to pull just a little bit out of the bag. I'm going to tease it out and make sure there's no mats. It's nice and fluffy. And I'll spin the vise, touch the dubbing to the thread. Dubbing will jump out of my fingers right up onto the thread. And I'll pinch it here, tighten it up just a bit, come off the cradle, and then we'll wrap our collar. And this chartreuse and red combination is a killer shad combo. Okay, we've got our collar on, and we'll do 2 3-turn whip finishes, and we'll cut our thread off. And we are finished. That is O'Neill shad crack in a size 6. It's one of our favorite shad flies. So thank you guys. Have a good rest of your night.